All right, we're good.
I'm a little low. Hi, how you guys doing? What's up? We're back. We took a little short break for a week. I am Gibbles Instruct. I'm here with my co-host, Kula Monster Gaming. It's been a pretty good week. Some cool things have happened, and we took a week off, but we're back, and we're back with a little bit of a change to the podcast, small one. We've been focusing on pretty much just Final Fantasy for the length of the podcast so far. We're shifting it over a little bit. Now we're just going to be talking about all video games. And so today we're going to be having some news that we're going to be going over in just video games. We got 4 topics that we're going to be going over. So let's, I think we were going to just get into it a little bit. I actually just noticed you got a haircut. I haven't seen you like on stream.
Yeah, well, I got a haircut a while ago, but the beard got trimmed at the beginning of the year, so that's probably what the big difference. Like I used to have that big length beard, so it's been kind of shrunk down. But no haircut. I'm also not wearing my headphones like normal, so
yeah.
Bit of a different view.
So I was noticing it threw me off for a second.
Yeah,
all right,
no.
So first things first, we're gonna be talking about is still Final Fantasy. we're going to be going over the Moogle Treasure Trove event.
Yeah.
They are. It starts tomorrow. They are bringing back the itinerant Moogle tomestones. So you can get all your stuff. The rewards this time are quite a bit less than the last one they released. We got the Dommel whistle. There's one pony, one bird, and one dog from the extremes. Some housing items, the late Allegan armor. We still got a lot of cards coming in and some minions. And
The bomb Peliquin, which is the one from the goblins,
it's an
right?
AR.
Yeah, AR goblin.
It's the Titan faction over in Lenosha. Yeah, it's one of my favorite mounts from ARR. But besides just the new items that are coming out, they're actually changing the way they're doing it. We're instead of just like certain events, or not events, but duties will give you itinerant tomestones. That's still there, but they're adding in a whole section called the Mogpendium. Essentially, I think it's supposed to be like a new. I don't know if it works like a duty finder, but I think it's going to work kind of similar to the Wondrous Tales. You have standard objectives. These are like just repeatable ones, and on the site that shows it, you can see Sunken Temple of Karn, Praetorium, Castrum Meridianum, Sastasha Hard. So just basic dungeons and ARR, but then it also includes it includes the triple triad, not the extremes, but the normal trials as well. So I'm pretty sure those might rotate, and you'll probably be able to get the itinerant tomestones that way. But they're also adding in they're adding more ways to get tomestones as well, and they're adding in 3 different categories that aren't just repeatable. There's weekly, mini-mog, and ultimog. So weekly, you can do it once a week, right? These are going. I don't think they show us anything specific.
So weekly is one of the. It says the regular tomestones are awarded upon completion of relevant weekly objectives. Each player will be assigned 1 objective per week from the standard objectives. This is a great way to get your hands on even more regular tomestones.
Okay, so one of the standard objectives is going to be bumped for each person individually. Okay, that makes sense. Then we've got the mini-mog. Mini-mog can also only be completed once a week. And on the screenshot of that, you can see there's I don't know if that's a hunt or a fate that's in the Lakeland. I think that's where a hunt is, or sorry, a fate. Yep. You can see some fishing is there, and the hunt board for like the normal hunts. There's the triple triad, the card game, and there's treasure maps.
Yep.
Seem to be able to give you that as well. And then there's the Ultimog events. Ultimogs, they haven't shown what exactly Ultimog is. It just says they can be completed once per event period. A sizable tombstone reward awaits those who complete these special tasks. 100 for adventure, test your mettle, and take on an Ultimog challenge. I wonder if these are going to be like extremes or savages or anything like that. I doubt it, but we'll see what those Ultimog events are. You still, all of the itinerant Moogles are still in the same space. The Limsa, Lower Decks, New Gridania, and Steps of Nald across from the Aetheryte. Same places as always, but new ways to earn them. The ocean fishing is available as a way to get as a standard objective. So if you just really like ocean fishing, then you can just do that for your tomestones. Something of note though is that you have to earn at least a score of 1200, which is fairly easy to get, but you can't just join in ocean fishing in AFK.
Right.
But yeah, I think this is a good way to add in the Moogle tomes, and
It's nice. It's more variety, right? It brings that bit of a variety.
yeah, it's way better than what everyone was doing last time, where everyone was just like one tank, 7 DPS, P1,
Yeah.
normal, and just farm that because even though it didn't give a lot of tomes, you could do it the fastest. It is this kind of variety is really nice. This is the kind of thing why I personally actually liked the book step in the ARR Relic, although I will say the book step was too much. But like the design of that, of like, hey, go do all of these different things, it was a really cool relic step, I feel like. And I feel like this is a good way to do that. Many ways to do something instead of one way to do it.
Yeah. It's always good to give ourselves options. All right. Yeah, so that's the new event. Kind of exciting. That'll be good. There's a couple of triple triad cards if you guys don't have those.
I really wanted a late Allagan armor set, and I'm mad the healing one isn't in here. That's the one I wanted.
Oh, it is weird.
I seem to PP.
That's weird. Couple of there's a back bar and a bar rack. Looks like it's bar themed, which is kind of cool. And then looks like modern aesthetic is in here as well. The Titania barding, if you don't have that, that's a pretty interesting looking one as well. And then a couple of orchestration rolls, 3 orchestration rolls, and then the Griffin Hatchling and the little Lianana. Yeah, some good stuff. I'm excited that they're kind of changing this up a little bit. And just as an FYI, the items from the irregular will be available until 7.1. And then if you fail to get all of your stuff from the Mogpendium before 7.05, then you will no longer be able to get them. And it looks like this is going to be a more permanent thing. They're going to be doing this pretty regularly, which is nice.
Yeah, especially with them saying that like the Ultimogs are once per event. It seems like they're planning on this is the way that this is going to work out farther down the road.
That'll be good. Alrighty. All right, so we're gonna jump into some other news. I am going to switch our view up to this guy and get this guy started. Cool. All right. So we are going to be talking about the Bethesda layoffs first. So this is a kind of a big deal in the gaming industry, given the fact that they just purchased Blizzard Activision 3 months ago, late October. So from what we know, 1,900 members have been laid off across Activision and Blizzard, Xbox and ZeniMax Studios. This represents a 9% workforce reduction of the 22,000 that were working before this reduction. It is part of a larger 10,000 person reduction across all of Microsoft, so that's not including Xbox, that's including other facets of their business. And so this is in line with what they've already announced earlier last year. CEO Phil Spencer's internal memo reads as such: it's been a little over 3 months since Activision Blizzard and King's teams joined Microsoft. As we move forward in 2024, the leadership of Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzard has come to be committed to aligning the strategy and the execution plan within the sustainable cost structure that will support the whole of our growing business. Together, we've set priorities, identified areas of overlap, and ensured that we're all aligned in the best opportunities for growth. As part of this process, we've made the painful decision to reduce the size of our gaming workforce by approximately 1,900 roles out of the 22,000 people in our team. The gaming leadership team and I are committed to navigating this process as thoughtful as possible. The people who are directly impacted by these reductions all have played an important part of the success of Activision Blizzard, ZeniMax, and the Xbox teams, and should be proud of everything that they've accomplished here. We are grateful for all of the creative passion and dedication they have brought to our games, our players. What's up? Oh, our players, and our colleagues. We will provide our full support to those who are impacted during the transition, including severance benefits informed by local employment laws. Those whose roles will be impacted will be notified, and we ask that you please treat your departing colleagues with respect and compassion.
I want to make sure our audios are good.
Oh, okay. Respect and compassion that is consistent with our values. Looking ahead, we will continue to invest in areas that will grow our business and support our strategy of bringing more games and more players around the world. Although this is a difficult moment for our team, I am confident that, as ever, in our ability to create and nurture the games and stories and worlds that bring players together. Signed, CEO Phil Spencer. Just as a forewarning of the Activision cost, it was $68.7 billion for the acquisition of Activision and Blizzard, after 20 months of battling the US and the UK regulators on this. In hearing some of the rumors throughout this, we are finding that it is not just administrative overlap. We're also seeing some developers from some teams are being let go as well. So this is going to affect some development in the future. We're not sure what at this time. They haven't really said. But it is a larger listing of companies that are doing layoffs right now. So Microsoft Xbox joins a list of other gaming companies that have implemented major cuts this month. This includes Twitch, Discord, Riot Games, the makers of League of Legends, Behavior Interactive, the makers of Dead by Daylight, Thunderful, and Unity. So this is a big deal. I think this is a kind of, I don't know. I struggle with this a little bit. I know that some of this was administrative. I know that there's kind of a downturn in video games since COVID stopped. But it's kind of a big deal in that they just made this big acquisition, and now they're saying they don't have enough money to support all the employees, right? So it kind of worries me that Xbox is kind of purchasing it over their boots a bit. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this tolls in the future for them.
I mean, a lot of what they purchased wasn't necessarily the workforce that they purchased; it was the IPs. More so, the intellectual property is what one of the main reasons why it costs so much for the acquisition.
Sure.
And yeah, and the whole tech industry, not just gaming, is suffering from massive cuts from overhiring right now too.
Yeah.
Another one. Sorry, I was gonna get this out. Is Deus Ex Machina was supposed to be getting another sequel, and that got canceled because Embracer Group is laying off a bunch of people right now. So if you were super excited for another Deus Ex game, nope, sorry, it's at least postponed, but all announcements say it's canceled.
I'm interested to see how far along they were when all of that went through.
I'm wondering like how many games just in general got canceled because of this as well, just from everything being laid off.
I am kind of worried about the future of gaming, given that Xbox is kind of living on this subscription platform. So I'm interested to see how that's going to benefit them in the long run of what they're going to be able to do.
And in the midst of this, Sony is actually actively purchasing an African gaming startup to try and breach out into African markets on the continent as well.
Yeah.
So you're getting a little bit of like a interesting. We got pay cuts across the industry, but we still got some companies looking to expand at the same time.
We haven't heard anything about pay cuts from the PlayStation studios right now, so that's. Not to say that that's not going to happen in the future, but if any indication of who's holding their business well, Sony has yet to make any cuts.
Yeah.
And companies around Sony have yet to make any cuts. So Square Enix has not announced any cuts. Any of the studios working, first party games. Yeah.
From what I've seen, I haven't heard of any like massive cuts from any like Japanese companies currently. I think it's the American markets or the Western markets rather that are having a little bit. They're having to cut back from some bloat that happened.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how 2024 plays out at this point. We are we're at a weird standpoint where, like I said, I think it's very telling when you have a situation where Microsoft is laying off, and yes, there is some overlap when you bring people in, product, services, and stuff like that. That's all considered overlap, but you know, it just is. You know, you got a bunch of different companies that are all going to be kind of functioning on their own, and Microsoft's trying to pigeon themselves in. In my opinion, it's never been good. It's never been good for Microsoft to push as much as they've had in the past. So I say that as well, let's talk about the last release they just had on a new IP. Starfield did not perform as well as they had hoped. Was not the blockbuster game that they were hoping for. Some people really liked it, but overall it had very, you know, mediocre mid-level reviews on it. And so I think that's very indicative of Microsoft's mentality.
I feel like just in general, the acquisitions that Microsoft has made in a while, they've been like massive studios, right? We've got, or like production companies, but I feel like they were already ones that were having a lot of problems, and a lot of like the sentiment towards those companies were already like on a downturn while they were being like acquired, which was something that a lot of people like were saying like, yeah, it's the year of Microsoft, all of the exclusives. But then if you took that person aside and like, how do you feel about Bethesda? And they'd be like, I mean, when's Skyrim 6 gonna come out? ESO's like okay, or sorry, why did I say Skyrim 6? Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls is okay, online is okay, but I mean like the last two Fallouts, like, so I don't feel like Bethesda was this like home run necessarily already that they were like thinking they were acquiring maybe. I mean, it had potential, of course, but video games are mostly up the people making it, less so the company, is one thing you have to always think about.
It's been a trend for Xbox, right? They acquire a company, the new IP that comes out for that company doesn't do well, and it's the rumor mill comes out that it's like, oh, well, we had a plan, and Xbox kind of kept us from being able to perform that plan because they wanted a specific way. And so it's a very different mentality when you look at it from the perspective of like what you hear from like Naughty Dog Studios and the studios behind PlayStation, which is like, you come to PlayStation with an idea, and if it's sound, then they let you go, right? They just leave you alone to do your thing and come out, and you get blockbusters like Last of Us and Last of Us 2, and I know that one's
Santa Monica
Studios,
God of War.
Insomnia Studios with the Spider-Man series, which has been very well lauded. So it's interesting to see the style of management differences between, a very loud Microsoft and a very quiet PlayStation. So it's definitely telling. So I'll be interesting to see what the next IP that comes out, how it does from Microsoft through one of these studios, apart from what we got with I just said it and my brain just lost it.
Starfield.
Yeah, with Starfield. So I'm interested to see what their next one is. It'll tell us, whether this acquisition was good for those companies or not.
And I'm not entirely certain on this, but I feel like it is normal for like when acquisitions happen, just in general, that quite a bit of layoffs happen because of overlap and natural blow to the company. The new parent just goes through, unless that is part of the negotiation, right? Because I feel like a lot of times that is like, hey, we're gonna merge, but here's part of the negotiation. You have to keep X number of my staff on the table, like up to 100%, right? So
generally those come with more of the like, we need executive staff to stick around for X number of time, or the value of your stock isn't going to be worth what it should be, kind of a deal. It's generally, those trades are generally done in stock and on the purchasing side, and causes them to And I think that's that could be a chunk of what Microsoft is seeing for a hit, right? I mean, all these employees potentially had large sums of stock within Microsoft as part of the acquisition detail. And then when being let go, they're just like, okay, well, I need to get out because I don't have the funds to be able to continue. I need to be able to make money. And they're making massive sales, which dips the stock value. I'm not saying that business hasn't responded to the fact that they've made layoffs, and some people just may have sold because, but, it's definitely one of those things where you're like,
I recently look at that because usually with layoffs, stock goes up.
And like that's 90% of the time. Some people it did, but for Xbox it did not. For Microsoft it took a dip. It took a pretty major dip that it was a pretty big deal. And I think I think a lot of it is off the back of like a big acquisition like this where they spent bunch of money to ensure that they were getting the best deal. In my opinion, I don't think that games like Call of Duty become the superpower that they are when you put them on one console, right? I think they've become so successful because they've been on multiple consoles. So this will be an interesting thing to see when the licensing agreement with Xbox runs up or with PlayStation runs up. What does Microsoft do when they lose that large sum of funds from other console providers, especially one of the largest console providers for high-end gaming right now, which is PlayStation?
Yeah, I'm really interested to think about. So like one thing to think about on like the Microsoft like taking over and then like the studio like producing not that great. I mean, they didn't buy the studio, but they bought the IP off the studio, and that was Halo, right? And I mean, like since Microsoft has had Halo, it hasn't performed nearly as well. And like there's a lot of people who will stand by and will say like they love Halo 4 and 5 and Infinite is fine, right? And there's a lot of defenders of it, but I know it doesn't hold up to the same standard of like this is what video gaming is, that like Halo 3, Halo 2, ODST. Why can't I think of the other one that's not a Master Chief game? Reach, thank you.
Halo
those
Wars.
Games were like pinnacle of gaming and not under Microsoft's watch, really.
Yeah, I think trying to think of the game that kind of spurred a lot of people to be like, wow, Microsoft is really bad at re-releasing IP. I want to say oh man, what is it? It's a zombie game that came out a while ago.
Wolfenstein?
No. It was like a more modern zombie game. It was in its sequel, State of Decay. That was the big one. State of Decay 2. Oh. When that one came out, that was an Xbox. That was after State of Decay 2 was, or State of Decay, I think, was a multi-platform, and then Xbox bought it, took over the development of it, and State of Decay 2, everybody was really psyched for because State of Decay 1 was really good, and it bombed. It didn't do well. It was a bad game. And this is kind of a tipping point for some people. It was like, oh, maybe Xbox isn't good at producing games internally. Maybe they really do need to rely on, publishers to make games for them. And that's kind of where a lot of people had started to see this kind of like writing on the wall for them to buy in on making AAA style games. But yeah.
When was that? It was recent? Yeah. I mean, at the same time, just in general, video games have been having a massive turmoil as well. That can definitely cause. I mean, like all media, I feel like has been getting really shaken up like crazy right now. Movies are bombing. Video games. A lot of video games that should be doing crazy are bombing. You are getting these meteoric rises, right? Like Larian with Baldur's Gate. But I mean, almost every single one of these large producers, large production companies, development studios that are like these AAA studios. Almost every single release that I think has come out hasn't been doing anywhere near what it should be or could be. right? Because you've gotten Square Enix released Forspoken, that bombed. You had I'm losing my entire train of thought on these, but yeah, we had Starfield, we had just I can't think why I'm losing my train of thought right now. But yeah, a lot of just in general these like larger production studios seem to be just missing the mark like crazy recently.
I think we're getting into a revolution of gaming where people are kind of tired and looking for games to kind of shake up the mold, right?
Yeah.
We get into these patterns of like I haven't touched a Call of Duty game at launch in maybe I want to say probably 6 or 7 years. And to me it's the same game, right? You pay $60 to get, you know, a mediocre first person story, and the majority of your gameplay comes from multiplayer, and the multiplayer facets are the same. It's, you know, you search and destroys, you got team deathmatch, you got hardcore, you got softcore, you got, I mean, it's all the same. And then, you know, you lap on things like, you know, pay to wins, you know, you get the loot boxes and stuff like that make it, you know, people can just pour money into it, and it's just not fun anymore. And yeah, it's just not the same game. So for me, like, I used to be a big Call of Duty guy. I don't play Call of Duty anymore because to me it's $60 for the same game. If I want to play the same game, I'll just go back to the old one and play the old one.
Yeah, we saw that shake up with like Battlefield game, not Battlefield, but like PUBG. I can't think of what this called right now.
Yeah, PUBG was the initial one. Yep.
Fortnite. We like
Tarkov's interesting. I mean, Tarkov's got a really interesting thing that they're doing. It's really fun. It's exciting, you know, and it's not one of those things. It's like, okay, like I'm max level and now I can pwn everybody who walks through. It's like, okay, you're good for till we end the season, and then the season's over and we start fresh. Everybody starts over from square one.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things. I know Call of Duty's been kind of doing that where they go back and they just say, okay, everybody's starting fresh again. And that to me is like, I mean, other than your vanity purchases, those stick around, but like everything else is like all your stats and whatnot drop back down to zero. So it's, you know, it's interesting. I also personally don't touch Blizzard games for personal reasons. There was an incident of SA that resulted in a woman's death, and I just choose not to. I choose not to watch streamers that play Blizzard. I choose not to play Blizzard games. I choose not to invest my time into Blizzard anymore because of that. So I know there's some people who are in that boat. I know some people who kind of lapsed their way around it and said that, you know, things have kind of changed. I don't think their response was appropriate in my opinion. So, I mean, to those who choose to stream Blizzard, that's on them. That's fine. And but yeah, it's not a subjective game that I choose to play anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Bobby Kotick leaving, and then I'm also wondering if this number of layoffs are also going to be hitting a lot of management that allowed that kind of management to run through.
Right.
So I'm wondering if out of these layoffs and Bobby Kotick leaving, if we're going to get maybe a little bit of like a new Activision Blizzard. I almost said Bethesda.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of comes from those studios, from like what's changed from a PR movement, right? I mean, I'm definitely interested to see what they're doing. I also think that Blizzard's been kind of beating the same dog over and over again. WoW is, you know, for some people it's not, but WoW I think is functionably dead. It's been the same game with the same poor graphics for 20 plus years, 25 years. And it's, you know, it's one of those things. It's like, it's time for a change, guys. It's time to like either upgrade your graphics, you know, and that's one of the things that I appreciate about Final Fantasy, to bring kind of this back around to Final Fantasy, is that like Final Fantasy realized that they couldn't just keep the same graphics forever, that like, you know, like consoles are going to get better. We can utilize the consoles better. And so they're, you know, they're moving graphics. So we're getting a big 7.0 graphics update, which is huge. That's a big deal. Some of the rendering that we're seeing in some of the open areas is big, right? I mean, big color changes to things like Amarang and whatnot inside of old content. So it's the refreshing stuff so that when people come in, they're like, oh, it's actually, you know, new and exciting and live content. So, you know, Activision has kind of, or Blizzard has kind of lived on this like old mentality of like people are just going to enjoy the same thing over and over again. And I think it's, you know, it's done okay for them. But the writing on the wall for me this year was when they announced 3 expansions.
Oh, well, I mean, like a lot of people who are WoW fans and Blizzard fans were actually actually liked that. That was actually a good thing for them, and especially what they showed. What they showed was big on like people were very happy and excited to see what the expansions held and what the changes were. I remember as that BlizzCon released, people were super pumped and excited for WoW, and I think there was a decent like rise in their concurrent players at that time again.
And that's fine. Like, to me though, like, it shouldn't take the announcement of 3 expansions to drive potential sales.
I don't think it was the number of expansions. I think it was like what they showed. From what I heard of like actual WoW fans, they were excited about like what they saw, not the number of what they saw.
Right, but I mean, let's look at the difference, right? How excited are you for Dawntrail to come out?
I mean, like, I'm pretty excited. I mean,
and that's like one expansion. That's like getting in the mix of things. Like that's kind of where I'm at. Like, you know, like if you're gonna be releasing stuff, like make a compelling story that's gonna last you, and announce one expansion, and then make all of the stuff that's supposed to bring people in that one expansion. Like the fact that they're like forward thinking, like, oh, like, hey, this 25-year-old game is now gonna last for another 6 years. Like, we're guaranteeing you another 6 years with, you know, I don't know if there were any graphical update, you know, announcements or anything in that or whatnot. It's just, it's one of those things that, like, to me, it's like, I don't know, like, the numbers, like, when you're saying, like, when people come back and they're like, oh, well, they announced the next 3 expansions. But why? Like, what were, like, why are you so, like, afraid to just announce these as they come?
So, I'm gonna do a little devil's advocate on this. So one, you can create. It is a really old game, right? Final Fantasy, we know it's going to be going on for longer and longer. Like it's a thing we know. So they've said there's gonna be this like we don't know how many more expansions, but we're gonna keep releasing them. So they don't need to say we're releasing these 3 expansions. We have them planned. Well, WoW, we don't know their life cycle, what they're expecting on how long it's going to last. So saying like, hey, it's not going anywhere. We got 6 years of a roadmap planned. Stick around. It's going to be cool. But also, it also adds a potential of a little bit of a buffer of potentially, and I've said this before, of like when a sequel for an MMO is released is set up, hey, this other game isn't going anywhere for a while, so it could be next BlizzCon we get a WoW expansion like to drop, and then we get we get WoW 2 announced, right? Like it could be something like that, like keep the original IP alive, drive people into the original IP while getting them excited for the second one. At the same time, that could be a business plan they have, or if they have other, maybe it's not WoW 2, but maybe they have something else to like fill that gap in development and driving more people into classic WoW that released, and the expansions for modern WoW, and it could that could be their main business plan by creating a 6-year timetable for people. Be like, hey, we're not going anywhere. We got all this planned. Stick around.
Yeah, it looks like when they released it, they're releasing it as what they're calling a saga, right? So it's they called the 3 expansions a saga, which is like an overarching 3-story set that has a pinnacle and an ending to each 3 of the 3 games. Those 3 games being the War Within, the Midnight, and the Last Titan. Looks like War Within will be sending into the heart of Azeroth itself, exploring the subterranean kingdoms and engaging in ancient cultures, the earthen and the terrifying Nerubians of Adjetsuket. I'm not going to even try. And then the Midnight, which is the second expansion, you'll be returning. The wording is literally, you'll be returning ready to the old world, the fabled land of Quel'Thalas. There, the forces of the Void have invaded Azeroth, intending to snuff out the light of the Sunwell and plunge the world into darkness and fear. And then the Last Titan is you will be returning again to the old world, this time the Winterlands of Northrend. And there, at Old Duar, you'll bear witness to the return of the Titans of Azeroth. So, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this game continues on and how long it continues to run for.
I believe they're also finally addressing the sword as well, from what I heard.
Yeah.
The giant sword that's taking up like a continent in the ground. So taking Microsoft and them pushing out doo-doo whenever they take over a new studio, I kind of want to take that and actually segue into our third topic, because while they're exclusives and like we're scared about what exclusives are going to be coming to Microsoft, and they're not really doing too well, and they're putting out more stuff that aren't really doing too well, there is something that just released that is technically a Microsoft exclusive, although it's
for now they're talking about bringing it to PS5.
Oh, they are talking about bringing it to PS5?
PS5, okay. PS4. They haven't said anything about Switch because I think they're worried about the Pokemon backlash. But they have said that they are in the works of putting in a PS5 release.
Yep, but it is a Microsoft studio and it's on Game Pass. Its Palworld is absolutely exploding. I don't remember, it was 7 million sales for the early access in the first week. $30 a sale, right? That means, I mean, gross, not counting anyone's other like cuts. This is only on Steam, not the Game Pass stuff. That's $20 million in revenue right there, just off of early access sales. Not revenue, but gross revenue.
They're saying as of right now they're about 8 million in sales, which estimates to roughly about 189 million.
Yeah, that is insane. This is a small studio, has one other early access out, and is actively it does have another game being developed, and as like talked about it. They've announced 4 major updates and are talking about they see the writing on the wall that they have something big and are actively going to be working on it and pushing it more, and it's crazy. I actually looked into earlier today, I looked at their concurrent players and their cap concurrent players that they've maintained for about 2 weeks now, the game being out. I think it's been out for 2 weeks. Has been 2 million concurrent players at their peaks, dropping down to about 176,000 or something like that, I think, or 800,000 as their lows. It is their lows was the all-time high of Baldur's Gate, which is an insane thing to try and think about, right? They're pumping almost triple the concurrent players that Baldur's Gate's peak was, and are maintaining their lows at Baldur's Gate's peaks. Now it's only been 2 weeks. It does have a lot of chances to drop down and fall down, but it's currently I don't think it really has any sign of slowing, especially with the potential for updates, large updates, releases. The map's going to get bigger, more maps to release, right? I think the only thing that could slow Palworld down is a Nintendo lawsuit, which I personally don't see coming.
No, if they were going to do something, it would do something way earlier than this.
They announced I think 6 days ago that they were investigating it,
which I think is a publicity stunt, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. At the same time, they just filed a lawsuit on another game that's a Pokemon-alike called PokeZoo, but I mean, like, that's actively repeating the Pokey
using the name.
Yeah, they just announced that lawsuit, or just filed that lawsuit like yesterday, I think.
What I'm really interested in talking about with this, we can get into the gameplay, that's totally fine, but I'm actually interested in talking about the other games that this development studio has been creating. So one of them is a Hollow Knight rip.
Yep, they're currently making a Metroidvania.
Yeah, which is called Nevergrave.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've got one that's a Breath of the Wild one called Craftopia. So it's very Breath of the Wild-y with some with
that one's already out, right?
That one I believe is already out, yeah.
Yeah.
They just added vehicles into that one, but it's full dungeon exploring. Some of the masks that they're using is very questionable. Some of the creatures they're using are very questionable. Some of them are just regular animals, but it's very much like when I've read about this studio is like their secret sauce is trying to, you know, overdevelop the current existent games of secret sauce, right? So it's like what can we do to make Hollow Knight better, or you know, in what their opinion is in what they are opinionated of would make Hollow Knight better. What can we do to make, you know, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild better? What can we do to make Pokemon better? So it's just one of those things that like the number of jokes that have been coming out of this, my TikTok feed is full of the Pal World being Pokemon jokes. It's pretty fantastic. It does look like, I mean, the Chara Lanazard, shout out to her. She's fantastic. If you haven't watched her, she used to be an IGN reporter, and now she's a writer for a major studio. I want to say it's Santa Monica. I can't remember off the top of my head, but she streams and she makes YouTube videos, and it's all really good. But she said that it's not Pokemon with guns, which is what everybody is saying. It's Arc with Pokemon.
It really is, yeah.
And that's kind of the big. It's like better. It's a better version of Arc with Pokemon. And the other thing I think this lends itself to is, I think the next Pokemon game we get is going to be something that's going to break the ceiling of what we've seen in the Pokemon games, right? Like this has got to be something that the Pokemon studio sits there and goes, how did a small development company like this do this better than we could?
Well, I think I don't know, Niantic, like I can't think of a way to say this gently, so I'm going to be as like blunt as
just
possible.
Be blunt.
Niantic lost its balls. Like I feel like this is a problem I feel like with a lot of games that are like staple like children's games, is that they let their audience go. They let their audience move on without them, and that's a real major problem, especially because in today's day and age, where I mean, like, we're adults sitting here talking about playing video games, and I have an adult sitting next to me in the same room as me playing a video game. There's probably adults all around me playing video games, right? It's not your audience, not anymore, at least when it comes to video games, aren't really aging out of playing your games. And these studios are saying, well, we started as a kid game. It's been 20 years. We're going to release that same kiddie game because we can pick up more of those same 10-year-olds. But those 10-year-olds are moving on to other games, newer things. They're looking at, oh, Pokemon, that's old. What? No, that doesn't look like fun. I want to play Fortnite. Right. And the people who grew up on Pokemon are looking at it and being like, I wish it was something more. I wish it grew up with me. I wish it had become like more, instead of like, I mean, I could play this, or I could go play my favorite Pokemon game, Soul Silver, which instead of how it was Silver version, the second Pokemon game to release, but with a larger Pokedex, and it has the largest Pokedex. It has the most amount of gyms. It has 2 regions. It has 2 Elite Fours, right? That's the kind of thing that we wanted, not the smallest map, but it's open world that we've ever had in a Pokemon game. I'm talking about Sword and Shield, because I didn't play the newest one, but I played Sword and Shield. It was the smallest map. It was one area, but it was, oh hey guys, it was open world, and it had like the least to do, and it had the smallest Pokedex. So like, you're trying to bring newer people into the game, and you're just leaving your original audience behind. And while a lot of people did go back and play and are still playing the newest one, Scarlet and Violet, right, that have like been like Pokemon fans, I feel like they've lost a lot. They've lost me. They've lost like some of my friends, because they're like, it's not what we want. We want it to grow up with us. We want it to become Pal World, right? We wanted it to become something more, and it never got there.
Yeah, I think
and they tried with Arceus.
For me, it was very telling. So like, I'm in the boat with you. Like, I found Gold and Silver to be fantastic, right? They were really super good Pokemon games. I think the big thing that like everybody was excited about was like, it wasn't just like, oh, it's a new Pokedex. It's like, okay, we're keeping the old Pokedex, but we're adding more Pokemon to it, and we're just going to give you access to all of them, right? I mean, because like, you can't build a world where Pokemon exist and then go, yeah, they don't exist in this part of the world, right? That literally makes like travel is a thing in that series and like everything else. You just can't. There's no way you can do that. So like, I think with these newer games, what we were kind of expecting was like I don't even mind like building these worlds even bigger and then going back to the old worlds, because it's like, it's remembrance, right? You're going back, like that was the big thing with Gold and Silver, was like you had the new 8 and the new Elite 4. And then you go back to Pallet Town, right? Go back to Pallet Town, you make your way around Pallet Town, do that, you know, 8 dungeons or 8 gyms in Elite 4. And then from there, it kind of just went haywire, right? I mean, like, you never got a point where it was like all the Pokemon. And then I think with Arceus, they scrambled, right? They had the add-on to Arceus, and that kind of scrambled out. Like, they had this big, you know, what should have been, you know, this massive Pokedex in this brand new open world game, and they couldn't produce. You know, I thought it was going to be a positive move for them when they did the Pokevault. I don't know if you were part of that revolution of like, they were going to let you move your Pokemon from DS up into this digital vault.
Yeah, the last time I played was Sword and Shield. So I played Black and White, and I played X and Y and Sword and Shield.
But it's like, you know, they were going to make it so that you could, you know, move your Pokedex up to this vault and then move them down into any game that you wanted to play. You know, was supposed to be this like central point where you had all these Pokemon that you could just kind of move them in both directions. And it never became that. And I think that's where they faltered a little bit. Now, granted, this is a new game, you know, so it's, you know, new Pokemon-ish, right? There's a lot of copying here, you know, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't, you know, I can't give legal advice to anybody, but like, there's a lot of similarities between some of these Pokemon that are out versus the ones that are, these pals that are out versus the Pokemon. I apologize. You know, so I enjoyed Temtem. I thought Temtem for me was a breath of fresh air. It was a completely original Pokemon or monsters or whatever you want to call them. Temtem. You know, the basis is kind of the same. You're going out and you're gathering all these things. I think the biggest change here with Niantic and what's going on with Pal World is like, you're getting base building, you're getting farming, you're getting gathering, you're getting other things than just like this main storyline. And I think what this game will be missing in the future, because we're getting a lot of open world, which is fine. Like, open worlds are fine. I'm missing like good quality story, in my opinion. Like, there are some games that come out that are good, solid story. You know, shout out to God of War for re-releasing this really great roguelike story set that they brought out. You know, a very Hades style roguelike. But it's one of those things. It's like, you know, like open worlds are only going to get me so far, in my opinion. You know, you had Valheim, you've got, you know, Pal World, you've got, you know, there are a dime a dozen at this point where it's, hey, just start here. I'll call it the, like, what it is from its original standpoint, which is the Minecraft effect of like drop and go.
Yeah, a lot of these do have a story, like Pal World does. It's just there's journals to find, and there's like towers. There's, once you clear all the bosses, eventually you'll find the story, right? But it takes a long time, and it's something you have to search for, which is, they straight stole from Ark. That's Ark's design almost exactly, right? But right. That's not for everybody. Some people want the actual story to be like told instead of having to read it in random journal entries that you pick up by and it's more of a collectible item, right? It's the feathers in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, right? You had to go collect all the feathers, and then imagine those feathers had all of the story, the entire story in the entire game. Is really what it is. But one thing, I'm actually kind of in a camp where I'm actually getting annoyed and tired of people coming in and being like, it's Pokemon. Like, it's not. It's not. Well, here's one of the things, and here's the thing I'm like, and I'm telling people, like, they are animals that have special abilities and are like cartoony and have like are like, they're either animals or they're mythical like creatures that have special abilities and are elemental based. How many games, how many things can you say are, wow, this has animals with special powers and some elemental base? Wow, let's see. I don't know. We got Persona, Dragon Quest, there's Pokemon. Every enemy in every JRPG ever, Final Fantasies, they're just the enemies. You can catch them, you can tame them, which is, if you take what Ark is, right? It's this game is a polished Ark. Which, if you've ever played Ark, I'm going to say this game is way more polished than regular Ark. But with actually like very interesting tames, because the tames in Ark are like, yeah, they're interesting because of dinosaurs, right? Oh, I got a raptor, I got a Deinonychus, that's really cool, right? But I also got a raptor, only my raptor breathes fire, and I can pull it in and out of my inventory at will to fight a giant dragon. And I feel like it's just a great, I've played it, I think like for like 48 hours almost at this point of actual like playtime.
Yeah.
And I'm having a blast playing it, and it is really good, and it has a lot that can be done in it. And I've still, even with that amount of playtime, I've barely scratched the surface. And they're only going to add more. There's going to be, I think the level cap right now is like 60 or something like that. It's only going to go higher. They're only going to add more pals, more maps, expand, and they're already talking about just expanding the map that they're on right now. And the map right now already is very big. It takes a long time to get across it, and there's so much to explore. And they're talking about expanding it, and there's the potential to add, like in Ark, you would have there's the island, there's Scorched Earth, there's Aberration, right? There's potential for different entire setups of zones, a fully volcanic one. That'd be something that'd be crazy, right? And there's so much room to grow with this game, and since it's already done so well, I can see those expansions selling just as good, if not maybe driving more people to it. Maybe it doesn't sell just as good, but a little bit lower. No matter what, this studio has hit gold.
They got a bunch of money. Interesting to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, they hit a lithium mine is what they hit. It is crazy. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I think you have you have an interesting take on this, is all of the server bloat, because they're essentially getting DDoSed by their own players.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a bit of this. So from what I did a little bit of digging on, all of these, all of the dedicated servers are having to tap back using a license key, which means that the game requires to be up in order for the dedicated servers to work, which is rare, right? I mean, so in my opinion, this is rare. You run the game, and there are ways to get around with anonymous mode and whatnot, but if you're not intelligently smart about it and how you're doing it, then it's not going to work the way you want it to. And and so I think there was this call to go, you get this game is going to be huge, right? And it becomes this big thing, and people are going to want to play, and everybody's going to want to play together, but they're not going to want to have to keep something up on their computer all the time. So obviously you're going to go to a dedicated server service to be able to get that done. And I think the servers the companies that are running these servers were not entirely ready for the amount of people that were ready to start buying in and buying in on these servers. On top of, I think that given this development company's past, they were kind of ready for this thing to kind of be okay, right? I don't think they were.
Yeah.
I don't think they were ready for it to blow out of the water, as we saw with like the first couple days of this game releasing. There was some big, massive patches coming out for fixes, and things were down for a bit. And so I think it's a hit on all sides, right? Like the developer itself was not expecting this thing to be as big as it was. And to be fair, this thing is in early access, which is interesting because it's an Xbox game is now as well. So it's like it's released on Xbox, but it's considered early access. And, so it's technically not full release. And, we're interested to see what they're going to add within this full release. But I don't think that their beta testing really gave them a good justification as to what's going to be here. I've also heard a lot of people say that the Xbox gaming version is a completely different feel to what you get with the Steam version. So you cannot join dedicated servers on the Xbox version, which is incredibly interesting because that's the biggest compelling feature to this. And given that Xbox has purchased into Microsoft and into Minecraft and what everything Minecraft is doing from a server perspective, that's surprising to me, right? So it's surprising to me that they couldn't get an Xbox version that would work with dedicated servers. That's pretty big.
That is actually a really interesting point that you just made, and I actually kind of want to talk about that for a second. Is that I forgot Microsoft owns Minecraft, and Minecraft has official dedicated servers that you can purchase from their own store.
And they're not expensive. Honestly, we did it before with our kids. It's like $8 to get 10 people in on a server. $8 a month. And that's not bad, considering that's probably about the average you're going to have on a server at any given time is about 10.
Yeah, this is a whole market that Microsoft is potentially leaving on the table right now. I could 100% see them bringing up their own service.
So this development company is not owned by Microsoft. I think they partnered with Microsoft for a first release for they have a contract with them for a pre-release.
Yeah.
For a console exclusive or a development exclusive, whatever you want to call it. So this isn't owned by Xbox, but I think the Xbox could have lended them a hand with their dedicated server, because this company could have made a shit ton more money with dedicated servering. I think the biggest thing, so for those who don't know, my background is tech. I work for a tech company as a senior systems administrator. We build entirely in cloud. So I think the biggest thing for me is that there aren't a lot of companies that are moving their dedicated servering to the cloud. And that's huge because resources are kind of sort of unlimited, right? I mean, the cloud, you kind of pay for what you use. So it's one of those things to me that it's interesting to see these companies struggle with dedicated servering when we have things like expensive cloud offerings. So it'll be interesting to see if this game plays a role in making changes to some of these companies where they start using more cloud services. We've talked about cloud services in the past on the show. We did it when Final Fantasy did their cloud offering. It is something that the gaming community has wanted, especially if we're tying back to Final Fantasy for a hot minute. The cloud testing was extremely successful. I heard nothing but good things to come from the cloud offering tests that they had done. So I'm interested to see if they're going to move the servers over to cloud. That's another big thing that people have been talking about, is where they move away from on-prem and move to cloud offerings and then expand, right? You lift, drop, put in, and expand, because now you're programming the right way, and the spaghetti code isn't a thing because you just throw more resources at it. The way that we look at it from an IT perspective is internal servers that you function run at like a stepping point, right? So you as your requirements change, your level of use goes up, right? So let's say you buy servers at a particular rate, and then you are good for 3 years, and then you're clipping what you are required to be able to work. So your next round you buy more, and then you go for another 3 years, right? With cloud, that cloud literally melds right with what you're building, right? So as you expand, you're going to pay for more, but you're also in turn hopefully getting more revenue out of it, right? So more players play, you get more revenue out of it, which means that the cost for what you pay for cloud services covers itself. So that's kind of what I'm surprised that some of these, and maybe they are, and maybe they're just doing it very poorly, that these these providers of services aren't utilizing the cloud services because people are paying, right? You're getting money for these servers that they want to have up. So, using expensive cloud services might be better for you and might be more lucrative for you because you're taking away the hardware requirement for the tech maintenance. So cloud is compelling because you don't pay for data center maintainers because they're already being paid for through the services you're buying through the cloud. Yeah, it's a little more expensive, but you know that when you add more services, they're there and they work and they're fine.
Yeah. I am very curious about how they're just because stuff like streaming and stuff like that, it just the data bandwidth that you're having to handle does cost a lot of money. So there's a lot of headache that comes involved with anything like this, like paying for web access and stuff. And I definitely feel like this studio specifically, it's so small. I don't think they have the infrastructure set up to try and create their own dedicated, right? And Wildcard, which is the developer for Ark, doesn't have its own dedicated. It has officials, right? But they're a lot smaller. Most, like all the companies that people are buying their dedicated servers for their servers from, the server hosting services are all like the same companies that lease out to not just Ark, but other there's some other games. Ark's the only one I can actually think of and know about, which is 100% why I think they were blindsided by Palworld, because I feel like it has an exponentially higher player base, and I think the demand way outshot their supply that they had like set up in a baseline for based on their highest performing ones that they had access to.
Right.
I do feel like that there is something on the table for a company that has massive infrastructure, tons of money, access, networking capabilities, and able to make big deals with big deals with like AWS for like network like their
cost
actual
cuts and stuff like that.
Yeah. To just create a big server farm. They just grab a warehouse, server farm, boom, you have 3,000 Palworld servers, each one costing $10 a month, and it pays for itself.
Right.
If not more, right?
I'm interested to see, with the success of this game, I'm interested to see two things. One, I'm interested to see the continued success of this game, to see how well it does as a continued IP. But then I'm also interested in seeing what their next IP, not the one that they're currently working on. Obviously, they are going to throw some money at that, which is the Hollow Knight re-up, or the Hollow Knight make, which is a roguelike, a semi-roguelite, Dark Souls, Metroidvania, Dark Souls type game. But I'm interested to see what their next new IP is, or what IP they choose to try to copy, or try to remake. I won't say copy because it's not a copy. Try to remake, and how well it does for them, with a little bit more money resource, right? So this has been a huge money boon for them over what they've made in the past. This brings in a lot of cash flow, which means that cash flow can either be split as profits amongst those who are there, or it can be repurposed into more development for another game, which you'd hope that they would do. So, and most smart video game companies will do that. So
yeah, I don't see them allocating resources on a new game, but the main thing I think they're going to be pumping a lot of the money that they got out of just this early access release is just going to pump it back into this game, and just they're probably sitting there thinking of a new map layout right now.
Yeah, my only concern with this is that there have been rumors that a lot of the PALs that we're seeing are AI generated. So I mean, to that point, let's hope that in the future, if they are AI generated, I'm not saying that they are, I don't have credible evidence to prove that they are, but that they bring on a creative team to try to bring in some more creativity to build new.
I will also say this, that based on like Ark's track record, you don't need to add a ton of more pals for a new expansion. You could add like 10 new pals and a new map, and the map itself will change everything.
A new like environment within your map or whatever. Yeah.
Well, how Ark did it is you have to. So one of the most annoying things about trying to play Ark is that there's multiple maps. So there's the island, there's Scorched Earth, Aberration. Each one of these you have to pay for as a separate as a separate server. It's not an expanded map, it's an entirely new map. And like how you would normally play the game is when you make your world, your island. So it would be this, or it would be a completely new, like whole open open world map, completely different, new design. Everything's completely different. They're not attached. And if you can have cluster servers, and these servers can be connected, and you can take your dinos from Ark and your character across connected servers. But naturally, you're supposed to have one server, play through it, beat the story, have your base, everything like that, and then go make another. Because technically, how you at the end of Ark, you each of the maps, you go into, like, you get launched into space and you ascend, and each time you ascend, it's supposed to be you going to the next map. So like it starts at island. There's a story to it, right? But it's just hard. You get the story of Ark through those journals, and then you get like one set of dialogue that happens between two characters at like during the final boss fight of the map, and then a little bit at the after the map, and then you get launched into the new one. So it's like they could be doing something because of how much they're using Ark as a basis.
Right.
They could be doing something somewhat like this.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm. And that itself could create, like, each expansion could be a whole new map, and it would also create. Well, I mean, like, I kind of don't want it, because that was one of the annoying things about Ark servers, is paying for each individual zone or map individually. But they could create more server space like that, and you have to pay for more server space if you want the full feel of Palworld.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think to me the creme de la creme when it comes to updates and how they affect worlds and whatnot is definitely still Minecraft. So Minecraft has been doing a lot of big updates, and their big thing is that they'll update your current world, but they won't update chunks. So if you don't know the lingo for Minecraft, everything is done in 16 by 16 square chunks, or 16 by 16 by 256 square chunks, which is the maximum height of a Minecraft world is 256 squares. And what they do is when a new add-on comes on, instead of messing with the existing world that you've traveled in or the chunks that you've quote unquote discovered or saved, they will only change the chunks outside of the ones that you've discovered. So outside of the chunks that you've touched. So that the world is pretty much endless, and you can still play the game as long or as hard as you want.
Yeah, so I know they have actively stated, and I know they have actively stated, creating new expanding the map. That is 100% something that they've talked about and are currently doing map deals. Yeah, but I kind of don't see them doing only that. I see them doing both, because there's also different things about like how you have different bases across the map, and like servers, like having a bunch of people, and like the map expanding, it creates so much extra. It creates a lot of extra server lag and bloat, because like you can do the I can't remember the render only what's within like your area, but then you create problems of like, well, what if you're playing with someone else and they're all the way across the map, right? Then you have a base on the other side of the map that's supposed to be running, and you have 10 you have 10 people all doing this, and eventually you create a lot of problems. And one of the solutions to that is just either split some of these people off into their own server, and or create a whole new map, a whole new world, a whole new zone. And I'm not meaning like a biome edition. I'm meaning like, okay, this whole map is all like the Scorched Earth was all desert. Aberration was all underground, in like this cool like radioactive area. Like there's tons of stuff you can do, and you can make very dedicated places. And a lot of them can be very like, oh, this one has every single type of biome, and like it's kind of similar, but it has a different layout. Right, but there can be different bosses, things like that as well. And I think it's going to be both. I think it's going to be not necessarily just map expansion, but also new maps entirely.
New maps, new items, new pals. There's a lot you can do here. A new
I see each expansion to have new bosses, new 5 to 10 new pals each time, with like some new items and new ways to play. With
new
each
themes for structures. I mean, you'll get Christmas themes and stuff like that when the Christmas time comes around. Yeah, definitely.
A level cap increase.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Sweet. So, speaking of things that copy old things, as we pivot to our last news topic of the day, let me change the view of things up here. We are going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch releases on January 17th, the Golden Sun 1, Golden Sun 2. Now, this is a huge deal for people like me who are 35 and used to play the old Golden Sun games back on the old Game Boy Advance. This game is phenomenal. Originally released back in April of 2001, excuse me. And then its expansion released in June, less than a year, in 2002, which is unheard of. Releasing an expansion less than a year later, super unheard of. This game for me was my childhood. This was great. This was Game Boy Advanced. This game takes elements of the best parts of Final Fantasy with a little bit of extra here. So it's open world movement into town. So you move into town, and the town becomes something like you're seeing on the screen right now, where you can move around. But then here's the open world a little bit. But this kind of gathers a bunch of different things. So you can do like the Pokemon Collectum on the Djinns that are around. There is puzzles. What's up?
It's a lawsuit. Sorry, I'm being dumb.
Done. 2001. But so just to give you guys a background, Golden Sun 1 was the humble village of Vale on the mythic peaks of Mount Alphith. The Golden Sun game sets magical wielding young heroes Isaac, Garrett, and Ivan and Mia on a quest to prevent an ancient power of alchemy from being unleashed upon their homeworld of Wayard. The adventures take them through towns and caverns and dungeons, and they will face wild enemies, confront puzzles and epic challenges, pushing their magical abilities or psi energies to the absolute limits. Along the way, they get help from mysterious creatures known as Djinns, who aid their heroes in harnessing their psi power to unleash potential spells and unstoppable attacks. So each character has spells that they learn and attacks that they can do based on weapons that they wield, but then they also have these skills individually that the Djinns do. So you attack with the Djinn, and then the Djinn is stockpiled into a summon that can be used as a bigger attack. So that's a big kind of fundamental of the battle portion of it. Outside of battle, there are actual puzzles. So as you'll see in the video in a moment, when you're in a village, you could do these kind of psi energy things. So this is reveal, and it reveals a like a place that you can go. You've got like move, you've got like grab, you've got certain things that you can do outside. So there's different puzzles that you solve along the way, and the battles are kind of big and epic, and you kind of do these big movements. So the first game follows 4 characters. The second game follows 4 other characters who then are paired up with the original 4. So you end up having 8 characters in total with additions across the board. There's a code system that they utilize with this, where when you finish the game, it gives you a code, and then you type the code into the new game, and it pulls in all the information you have from your old game. I loved this game. This game was my jam back in the day. So Game Boy Advance, just walk around with it, playing this game, tons of hours, tons of great story. It was great. It was really, really good. I highly recommend anybody who has not played this game to play this game. Please do. If you enjoy the old school Final Fantasy style, please, 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 please play this game. It's super good. It's super well worth it. Camelot Studios, they are behind every Mario Golf and Mario Tennis game and Mario Sports game out there. They do all of them for Nintendo. This was a huge blockbuster for them. The DS game kind of didn't hit. It was kind of a miss. It was like a children of the children you played as in the first 2 games, so it was kind of a miss in that standpoint. But the original, the OG 1 and 2 are fantastic, and if you have a Switch, I recommend it.
Yeah, I had actually never heard of this game until you had mentioned it. I want to say like a couple months ago.
Yep.
And it's a really, I mean, it looks like interesting. It looks like it's something I would want to play. I am kind of intrigued. It's just it seems almost like it's just a re-release. I was actually that's actually kind of a I mean, that is very Nintendo of them, though, and I think about it. But it does. I was thinking of like, oh, like I'm surprised it's not like something, not like a Demon Souls level of like a remake, right? But like of some kind of revamp, redesign of the game.
I think people were really hoping for like a remaster. Like they were really hoping that they would do some kind of a remaster with this, because this series is so beloved from its first and second iteration that it really deserved kind of like a refresh for a Switch kind of a deal. Kind of a like a, I would almost say like a oh shoot, what is the game that just got the sequel that's got the Octopath Traveler, like an Octopath Traveler look? Yeah. Like that kind of a revamp look where like the sprites are really crisp and everything looks really good and whatnot. I think everybody was kind of hoping for a re-release and not a, hey, we're just going to release them for our Game Boy Advance emulator, right? The hope personally is that they are able to kind of refresh this franchise into something that's worth playing again on Switch, you know, with a little bit better graphics and still keeping that puzzle aspect. I think the big thing here is that it was very in the time of Final Fantasy, you know, random battle-esque time period, where, I mean, you can see it's very, very classic Final Fantasy style battle here. But it's got, you know, external puzzles that were very well done, and you know, and the story was very strong. So the hope is that they can kind of recreate that in something new.
Yeah. I could definitely see. Now, a hope and something I'm thinking about is I'm hoping that the like whenever, because there's talks about Switch 2 and different things like that, is that they keep one of the problems I feel like Nintendo has been facing in backlash from a community standpoint has been their willingness to just lose IPs to time, and just not support it and stop people from trying to do their own emulation and bring old games back. And so this is definitely a good thing. This is a good what's the word I'm trying to think of? Something of faith. I can't think of the term I'm actually thinking of. But it definitely restores some hope of a lot of the fans, I feel like, of Nintendo.
Yeah. I think that was a big thing within the community for like a lot of old school games. I think we saw it with things like Banjo, or not Banjo Kazooie, because I mean they did get a re-release, but the Crash Bandicoot games, where like everybody really Crash Bandicoot was super beloved back in the day of the PS1, and didn't really get any PS2 releases or PS3 releases, but then they came back strong with a Crash Bandicoot 4 for the PS4, PS5, and I think that really revitalized that service and did the fans kind of justice of like what they were looking for in the Crash Bandicoot game. So I'd love to see Nintendo do something interesting with this. It would be great to see them do kind of something with it, anything with it. I don't have faith that they're gonna do anything with it. I would love to have more faith with it, as we haven't seen a new Mario Kart game in 10 years. They just brought new maps to it. I've heard rumor that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be announced at the next State of Play or whatever Nintendo Direct that they're gonna do. I think what Nintendo players are severely lacking at this point is breadth of graphical capacity. So being able to play some of these high-end AAA third-party games that could theoretically come to their console but are unable to do so because they just don't fit. So breathing outside of a Golden Sun speak of like, I think whatever Nintendo Direct does, my hope is that they bring in more graphical capacity that brings them closer to what the PS5 is doing with their Switch 2, so that they can do some of these more intensive third-party games that are coming out that people want to play and don't want to pay for a second console to do so.
Yeah, I don't. Switch 2 is definitely a word that's a term that's been trying to go around for a little while now. And I mean, even like the Switch itself has been it's getting older now. It's how long has the Switch been out?
Right,
like 7 years now or something like that. It's gone through a console lifespan for like a general one at this point. But even when it was released, it was talked about as being way too underpowered. Just when it released,
it had the capacity of what the PS4 was doing at that time, which is interesting given that it was a new console, right? I mean,
yeah,
this is supposed to be your flagship thing that's supposed to last you through the next general console generation, and you're still able to play games that the PS4 is capable of being able to play pretty easily, pretty handily, I might add. So it's very interesting. I know the Nintendo is kind of living on the, hey, we're a family console mentality and trying to build on that, like, like their IPs are enough to sustain this thing, and for the most part they are, right? I mean, Breath of the Wild was really good, and Tears of the Kingdom was really good, and the Mario Odyssey was really good, and all the new Mario remakes they've been doing are really good. I don't want to take that away from them. They've done very well as a console, release, and from a family console. As a father of 3 smaller children, all of my children, well, 2 of them now, 1 of them next month, have Nintendo Switch Lites, because they're easy to use, and from a parental perspective, they are great. They've got great parental controls on them for us to be able to control the kids down on what they utilize them for and how often they utilize them for. But it's not what they lost a large market of high-end gamers who used to play their games. So I mean, it's definitely not.
They all moved on and now have ROG Allies and Steam Decks.
Yep.
And those are only getting better as well. Like Steam has announced the Steam Deck OLED. It's the same size but with longer battery life, a better screen, tons of stuff that have improved. And
the Stream Deck is fantastic. I mean, I don't know if you've ever gotten your hands on one. I haven't physically got my hands on one, but a lot of people have reviewed it very highly. Their joystick configuration is really good. They've got kind of a touchpad square that you can use as a mouse, which works rather well. I mean, I've heard many complaints about it from a mobile gaming perspective. It's a lot of people have been very happy with it. So it's just one of those things that's like, it's very interesting. that that companies like Steam are releasing things that are as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Switch. And Steam was never known for releasing hardware, right? It's it's very rare that Steam releases hardware. They've got a controller, and now they've got a a Windows capable console.
Yeah, I've never touched a
Stream Deck.
A Stream Deck, no. But I will say, like, the Ally, like the crazy thing is what these are now capable of, these handheld ones. And like, well, I know a lot of people, like, PlayStation released theirs, right? But it's just it's a rehash of what they tried to do with the PS Vita, because they had like the PS Vita Home that was an attachment you could do, and you could play the PS4 with the Vita.
About the new handheld, it's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, okay, so there's tons of people who, like, it's designed for them. Like, it's designed for someone like I was gonna say like you, Kula. Like if you want to be like, if you didn't have your own office, right? If you weren't a computer gamer, mostly if you only had like the living room TV, if like the kids are like, oh, I want to play on the TV or whatever, you could be like, okay, that's fine. Just don't, you're going to use the Switch, you not the PlayStation, and then you change the input and you sit down and you can still play your game while still having family time, sitting in the same room as the kids while they're playing their game, right? It's designed for something like that, and 100% it does that well. It hits that home, and a lot of people really wanted that. There was a market for it. They hit that out of the park on that.
I think my problem is it came off the back of, they've got a console, they've got a mobile remote PlayStation version. So like, here's my issue. Ready? I'll show it to you. Right here. This is my issue right here. I bought a PS4 controller and I paired it to my tablet, and now I remote play on my console, my PS5 console, in another room from my tablet, because there's an app for that. There's an I agree that the handheld was a great alternative for some people who chose not to get a tablet or chose not to do their gaming on tablet. This thing has already existed. This app for tablet already existed. And to me, I think it's like, if you're going to do it, you need to do it at the same time. You need to release this product at the same time that you release a mobile app product to remote play in your PC. Now, don't get me wrong. I've got 3 PlayStation 4s in my house, as well as a PlayStation 5 that sits here for me to play on. The nicest feature that the PS4s have right now is the remote PS5 feature. So that I can play my PS5 on any TV that's connected to a PS4. Super great, super fantastic. I enjoy it. I love it. I think it's great. But it's one of those things that's like, PlayStation kind of played their cards wrong. My opinion, I think that they should have done this as a cellular connected device that you could buy service in on. So you could just slip a SIM card in and then travel on the go. Like, that would have been a great utilization for it, instead of having to be like, oh, well, now I have to hotspot my phone in order to be able to use this thing on the go. Like, that's not helpful, right? If you could, like, put a SIM card in it. Yes, 4 PS4s. I have 3 small children, and my wife likes to play games, and my 2 older children play a ton of games, and it's hard to, like, not deal with the fighting of, like, playing multiple games. But
anyways. I went wide-eyed when I heard that, but then I instantly was like, well, I mean, like, downstairs we have 2 different PS4s and 2 Switches connected to 2 70-inch TVs. And then upstairs we have 2 gaming laptops and 2 PlayStation 5s. So I'm just like, I mean, like, do I have room to talk?
Yeah, so it's one of those things that's like, I have a PlayStation in my bedroom, or PS4 in my bedroom, a PS5 in my office, a PS4 in my living room, and then a PS4 in my playroom for my kids. And theoretically, I could let the kids play in the living room and the playroom together. They wouldn't have to split screen any of their games, which is fine. But then you would be able to, I can remote into my PS5 from my living room PS4. So like, the TV I have in my office is a 55. The one in my living room is 70. So it's one of those things that's like, you pick and choose your battles, like where you play, where you want to go, where you want to be. So but yeah, like 3 kids, 8, 4, 8, and 10, or 4, 7, and 10. is what I'm, what I currently live with. And then my wife games as well. We have perfected the walk on a treadmill gaming, by the way. If you haven't done so, it's pretty fantastic. You should do it.
I've been wanting a stand desk, and then I'm not gonna put a treadmill underneath it though, but
yeah, we have the little treadmills that go underneath the desk, so you just raise the desk and you walk and play games at the same time. I used to actually, for Final Fantasy perspective, I used to do all my dailies at like 6 a.m. Oddly enough, 6 a.m. is the greatest time to do dailies because everybody's doing dailies. Apparently, everybody's on at 6 a.m. is doing dailies, or queuing for something, right? But yeah, I used to do all my dailies in the morning at 6 a.m. before work, and then just run through work for the day and then come home and do whatever I wanted to in the evening. So eventually we'll get back to that when we try to lose a little bit of the excess weight we're carrying right now. But yeah, so I think this app, this device comes a little bit late. Yeah, oddly, NA doing FF in the morning. Yeah, that's true. It's very, very true. Because you can't get queues in the evening when you think everybody's gonna be on, but you can get them in the morning. Anyways,
well, I was thinking like I'm opposite coast of you, so I mean like, so what you're saying is that I need to get up at 3 a.m. to do my dailies. Got it.
That's right. That's right. Gotta get them in at 3 a.m. Well, I mean that would work out for you because 3 hours, then you'd be at work, right? But you start working like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anyways, but yeah, to me this app is a little too late. Tablets are a thing, cellular tablets are a thing. When you release an app on a tablet, and that can do a million other things. So I utilize a company called Shadow.tech. If you're unfamiliar with them, they do gaming machines via remote access through their app. So my computer gaming is primarily done through that. I see very little latency with a gigabit LAN connection and a gigabit internet connection. So it's super good. It's super fun to play single player games on it because the timing isn't super like tight on it. But I can do it on my tablet. I can play PlayStation on my tablet. I can emulate on my tablet. There's a million different things I can do on my tablet that to me a handheld was a waste.
Yeah, no,
that's just my opinion.
Having the ability to have it like anywhere on the go, that's the good thing about a Steam Deck, an Ally, a Switch. That's the appeal of it mostly. I feel like this new PlayStation item doesn't fit that specifically. It definitely misses that market, but and a lot of people wanted that, but at the same time, it did sell well. They got the market they wanted. So at the end of the day, I think it was a win.
Yeah, I think it's very strong for couples for sure. Couples and families. That's definitely something I think they targeted well. And if I hadn't had a tablet, it would have been on top on my list of things that I wanted to buy. Right? It's just one of those things that's like it's hard to justify when there are apps out there that are already doing it for tablets, and so like we buy these nice cellular tablets because I utilize it for work as well as for personal, and and I can already do it, so it's like, Yeah,
I think the main thing that I'm so besides that, I think the main point I wanted to talk about when I was talking about these handhelds is that like the surprising power that they have. Yep. Right, like I said, I've never had access to a Steam Deck, but I have one of my best friends has an Ally. He plays Palworld on it actively. He has no problems. He's doing like crazy stuff on it, and it's the size of a Switch, and it's doing things a full like gaming laptop that a $1,000 gaming laptop is capable of doing. Now, not quite a $1,000 gaming laptop, but almost there, right?
Yeah.
It's not able to 4K 120 240 frames second.
But the screen isn't capable of that, right? It doesn't have to. It's got this tiny little screen.
Yeah. But it's still capable, and it's capable of emulating stuff. It's capable of running it. The problem is that Nintendo is saying, yeah, we have the Switch, we have all of these IPs, but there's a lot of people putting on a little hat that has a tricorn, and then they have a flag in the background with a skull on it, and they're saying this plays better over here. And I could change all of these settings and run it at a better frame rate and a better resolution and less with higher 1% lows and just a better experience. So
yeah, I think one of the biggest things and the smartest things we did this last year was we bought from a Final Fantasy perspective, we bought 1 through 9 on mobile. And didn't buy it on PC or console because it's one of those things. It's like, well, my Android's gonna move from Android to Android, right? So it's like I'm gonna keep these games with me for every iteration of that and play through them. Yeah, they're touchscreen, but like Samsung's doing a really good job of doing like visual emulation where I can literally. And there are times that I've done this. I've streamed games from my Game Pass from my tablet because it's no noise interruption from a processing perspective from my computer. So like I can play them just fine. I can put controller on them and they work just fine. But it's like I bought these games on PlayStation. It already is. It's already there. I can play every cloud Xbox game on my phone using a controller that literally has a flip up and you just pop the controller in on and it works. It's fine. Shout out to what is the game company? GameSir, which utilizes it's capable of working on Xbox Cloud. I can already do that. I can already play every cloud-based game. I was playing Grounded. I was playing doing that in 2015. Yeah, no kidding. Nobody thought about it. Nobody like that's the one thing that Xbox has going for it is their cloud gaming service, which honestly is dirt cheap. $15 a month gives you full cloud gaming. It's so dirt. It's like I can't believe that they're giving it away for such a cheap price. I can play AAA day one games on their cloud service. Granted, I have to wait like 5 or 10 minutes for a server to open up, but like for $15, I'll wait 5 or 10 minutes. Like whatever.
A lot of the services that have tried to do this though have failed. Like what was the like Nvidia Shield?
Nvidia Shield didn't do well, and their newer iterations of Nvidia Shield are now Windows-based machines that just kind of function as Windows. It's kind of like the new Nvidia Shield is basically an AOG handheld or a Steam Deck or whatever. It functions just like that. They tried to do something interesting and new and decisive, and they failed. They did terribly. Google did the same thing. Google did the cloud provider option, which was you pay monthly for their cloud service, but then you have to pay for the games, and it did terribly. You can't provide a service via cloud, but then also force people to pay for the games as well. That's not how it works. Not when Xbox is turning around and giving you 300, 400 games via cloud.
Yeah. I know a lot of these companies are looking at just cloud services, just in general. Like what like Xbox with Game Pass, I feel like they're Xbox, I think, is not looking to release another Xbox. I think they're looking to make Game Pass available on the next PlayStation, and whatever in any ever consoles that ever release, and just be a game, a Steam, right? A Steam competitor, an Epic Games Store competitor, but allow it for any console. Put it on your TV, right? You got smart TVs. Well, guess what? It has Xbox Game Pass on it, and then you just hook up a controller to it, and then now you're playing.
I'm gonna pull up a little bit because I've got my setup in such a way that I can do this. I'm gonna move back to video mode. This is Xbox cloud gaming. So if I move to their cloud service, this is all on the tablet. So I'm streaming my tablet right now, just as an FYI for those who are watching. But look, Potato Bro, these are all games that I can click in and I can play. Turnip Boy Robs the Bank, I can play that. Resident Evil 2, done. I can play that. That's a cloud game. We Happy Few, Done. I can play it. But like let me just all games. Here we go. Ready? Show all games. Like look at this. Look at this list. $15 a month. And this is all on the tablet. $15. Hollow Knight. Look, that's Hollow Knight Voidheart. Done. $15 a month.
Now we can have another. I don't think we should have a discussion today, but we can have a discussion another time about you own nothing.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, 100%.
Like we should own our own games.
Sure, and that's definitely a mentality, right? Like it's like
yeah,
and that's something to think about. You're at the mercy of what Xbox is capable of being able to bring in from a development perspective, right? Who can they partner with to allow to play on their cloud gaming to be able to do on a mobile cloud gaming? I don't own any of these. I don't own a good large chunk of these games. I do own some of them in other formats, but I don't own a large chunk of them to be able to continue to play.
Also, this is a discussion I think we can have like next week or something of like stuff like with like PlayStation getting rid of a bunch of TV shows because there was a merger that caused a legal dispute, and they had to you paid for all of these TV shows and they're on the PlayStation, you don't own them anymore, right? And like any kind of video games, anytime anything like this is going to happen, they're going to be like, oh yeah, you don't guess what, we're not going to back Hollow Knight, we're not going to back any of these other games anymore because it's too much bloat on our service. Right. Goodbye 5,000 games. Oh, that was your favorite game? Well, you never bought a physical. Oh, there was never a physical version of it. It was just on the cloud service. Well, I guess that's just how the world works. Like that's a whole conversation we can have.
When that happens, we'll talk about it more. But then when that happens, people are going to speak with their wallets, right? So when the game services that aren't on there that they want, they're just going to stop.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, like that's the thing is like cloud gaming is a thing, and it was meant to be a thing when cloud service providers were going to be a thing. We knew it was going to happen. I think Xbox arguably has done it the best. I'm still waiting for PlayStation to release a cloud version of their cloud software. So if for those of you who aren't on PS5, if you pay for the highest tier of PlayStation, their PlayStation Plus service, it gives you access to their cloud gaming environment, which has got a ton of old games on it. I'm waiting for them to release it on an Android app or some kind of iOS app of some kind, so that you can play those cloud games on a mobile device. That's the thing that they're missing. That's what Xbox has over them right now is a fully cloud, no console connected. I don't have an Xbox. I don't claim to own an Xbox. I will never buy an Xbox, but I keep the cloud service because I can do pretty much everything that an Xbox can do from a cloud provider.
Yeah, they tried to do something a little bit with it with PS Now, and then they just didn't.
They didn't move it to mobile, which is what they needed to do.
They didn't pull the trigger. Yeah, they didn't pull the trigger enough, right? They didn't create enough of a. It's just like, hey, you can rent these games. I don't even know if you can actually like game or cloud server like port it into other places and stuff like that. I think
you can cloud server it on the PlayStation. That's it. That's the only place that they've had it for cloud service. No,
you can't do it outside of that. That portal, the PlayStation portal, 100%. If they just updated PS Now to a cloud. And made it cellular accessible, right? Throw in one, so launch a Portal 2. One, give it fucking Bluetooth.
Right.
2 is make it cellular accessible with a cloud with PS Now being cloud accessible, or if Sony and Microsoft want to shake hands, allow for the Game Pass to be ported onto it, and then boom,
right?
And that'll sell.
I keep this. This is a PS4 controller that I pair to either my phone or my tablet, so that I can do the remote gaming. So I can remote it on my PlayStation. I've played Final Fantasy 14 doing like crafting stuff while I was away on my tablet, where I may not have had like the ability to plug in a console. it works fine. I mean, it plays fine if you got a good internet connection. It plays just fine. So it's one of those things. It's like it would be nice for it to just work, right? I mean, it would be nice for them to get into a console space or into a mobile space for their PlayStation Now. What was PlayStation Now is PlayStation Plus cloud service. I'd like for that to be mobile capable. That would be that's my if Sony's listening, which I know they're not, but it's they're never gonna listen. I want mobile editions of mobile editions of their consoles.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I think.
Good.
I think that's kind of all she wrote a little bit. I think we got
a little bit. Yeah. Let's we're gonna end this new structure. I think this is gonna be the new structure. I think this works out really well. I think we're able to really kind of dive into a lot of stuff. We got a good 2 hours into this. We're gonna end today's session. I DM'd Gibbles kind of late on this, but let's talk about what we've been playing. Let's talk about what we played in the last week. I know you've been kind of all over the place a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess like so we play a RPG and then Pal World and then Final Fantasy. So
yeah. So lots of Final Fantasy 14. I think pretty clearly for the both of us, we're very, very avid Final Fantasy 14 players. I did play a little bit of the new release of The Last of Us 2. I will say that their roguelite is really good. I mean, it's very similar to what it almost feels like a PR moment where everybody was like, all right, all the great IPs that we had, we need to make a roguelite for them, because God of War came out with their roguelite. Last of Us 2 came out with its roguelite this last week. Very good. So for those who are unaware, Last of Us 2 did their re-release of their Last of Us 2. It's the Last of Us 2 remastered. It adds a couple of lost levels that were never seen before, but then it also adds this huge roguelite section of the game. And for if you already own The Last of Us 2, it's only $10. Great purchase if you're going to play it. I did a little bit of Hollow Knight last week. I didn't get a chance to play it this week. So we're definitely going to pick that back up again. I need to do a little bit of grinding off stream in preparation for the finalization of the boss on Wednesday. So I have a little bit of grinding to do tomorrow afternoon. I will try to get that done. Let's see, what else was I playing? I downloaded a little bit of a game called Weedcraft Lite. And yes, weed as in the drug weed. It was a free trial on PlayStation. Not great, in my opinion. Their menus were a little bit meh. A couple weeks ago, I played a game called Nobody Saves the World. That game actually was rather fun. I think it was the free PlayStation game for the month of January. So if you haven't picked that up, please do. Yes, Granary. Weed Inc. or whatever. Weedcraft Inc. Basically is it's basically your Farmville style for weed. It is what it is.
Also, it's not the drug labs from GTA 5 and just that section of GTA 5.
No. It's like the farm simulator stuff where you're dealing with building and maintaining your drugs and selling them and whatnot.
And then you gotta do a drug drop and run away from the cops in the middle of it, right?
You're running away from the cops. I also started a couple weeks ago. I started Sparklight. It's a mobile game and a console game. If you haven't played that, it's very Grow-like as well. If you've ever played what is it? Moonlighter. If you ever played Moonlighter, it's very similar to the Moonlighter series in that you die and you go back to the main world, but you're gathering things and equipment and stuff from the travel sim. Yes, weed sims. Granary.
Weed Sims.
Weed Sims. I love it. Oh man, I did a quick demo of Wizard with a Gun. It's good. It's very survival or Just Survive, whatever that series is. I can't remember what it is. It's like a semi-open world, but you jump into a bunch of different worlds style. It's like an Binding of Isaac style gameplay. It's all right. It's relatively good. My expectation this week is I'm going to play a crap ton of Final Fantasy. I did finalize the rest of my crafters on Copycat, so I think we're going to go hard on unlocking all of the raid and the 24-man raid and the 8-man raid stuff on all my alts, and then just kind of go hard on getting those maxed out as much as possible. My goal for Dawntrail, as I've told everybody, is I'd like to have 3 max 90s Omni 90 class characters walking into Dawntrail with my EU and my JP alt working up to that. Is Omni 90 or Omni 100 when Dawntrail comes out. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been playing for the last week. We did get a lot of our Sunday raid crew their P10 clear. That was pretty fun. That was super awesome. That all of us were able to be there for that. Shout out
Alex
to
it's gonna be late for you, but Alex is gonna hit me up to try and do some P11 tonight in like half an hour.
Shout out to Blinded, who is out right now, but she's going through some stuff personally, and we'll be announcing appropriately. So very excited for her, and hopefully she'll get back to the game for us to be able to try to get her help with clearing 10 and 11.
Yeah, and I mean, like with the whole raid group being ahead of her, I mean, I'm sure it'll be like kind of annoying for her. She'll feel like about it, but I mean, at the same time, it'll make her clears go that much faster.
For sure, 100%. But yeah, we are. That's what I've been playing. That's what I've been doing. Brad, what have you been playing lately?
So obviously all the Final Fantasies. I need to get in. I need to get some tome grinding. I need a Scholar Relic really bad right now because I really want to try to play Scholar, in some higher end content. But yeah, then I've got what is it? I've been playing some Persona 4 Golden. I'm actually really enjoying the game. The only thing is like I want to like take more time to grind off streams like that, so I've been going kind of slow with it and in the actual how I'm actually playing it. And then just started playing Power World. I waited like a week, but it was only because I wanted a full day to play it. And I started playing it on Saturday.
Whoa. You said just started, but the man's been putting in probably 48 hours in the last 3 days.
I said I wanted a full day, and you know what? I used that full fucking day.
It's a lot of time. Yeah.
It's a good game. It's a big game. So, I mean, there's always tons and tons of games in my back catalog I've been meaning and wanting to play. I have the Pixel remasters, the Final Fantasy, so we're gonna go into those. I really want to clear Persona 4 Golden before the Persona 3 re-release Reloaded is coming out. They just did a live action trailer of that recently, and so definitely hopefully when Persona 3 releases, I'll be on it and playing Persona 3 right when it comes out, which I'm excited because Persona 4 is my first one, so it'll be a whole new game, whole new story.
Nice.
Lots of fun. And I mean, like off stream, like I had no internet for like an entire day, so I spent like the entire day kind of mindlessly. I mean, I got quite a few chores done, but I also spent it like mindlessly playing 20 minutes till dawn. I think, until dawn. No, 20 minutes till dawn. It's another roguelike.
Okay.
When I go on business trips, all I do is play roguelikes.
Nice. Yeah, I think my plan is to finish up The Last of Us 2. I mean, we're very early in the game. We're day 1 in Seattle. I think is where we're at right now for Ellie. Is after that, given that Golden Sun has released on Steam on Switch, it will do that. We'll do 1 and 2 on that. That'll take us a while to get done, but Thursday will definitely be hopefully finalizing Hollow Knight. Thank you, shout out to Conjure Cow for the immense amount of help that they've given me for that game. So if you've never played Hollow Knight, Thursday night we'll do some Hollow Knight after Final Fantasy 14 raid.
Did you beat the final boss? I know you were on it.
I was at the final boss. I think my hope is that I'll get I do the re-clears for my static for Tuesday and Thursday. So the hope is that we'll get re-clear done, and then Thursday I'll have time to be able to grind some Hollow Knight. I need to grind out the strength the strength totem.
Unbreaking strength.
Yeah, unbreaking strength. It's the last one of the unbreakings that I need to do. And then we'll do the final boss with an unbreaking strength. So build.
Oh yeah.
So
are you planning on doing the what's it called? Crap, I can't what are words?
What are even words?
Are you planning on doing the God Home, the arena. And are you planning on doing that one parkour section you never finished to get the secret ending?
I think I'll end up doing those off stream. I think I'm content with finishing the game at its current iteration on stream. I know it's like the 112%, 126% or whatever it is. The
arena isn't really needed. Like you do get story for doing that one parkour section, the White Palace, and then going and then it unlocks the secret, the true ending. That one is I recommend doing that, but you do have to get through that one.
I got the initial the White Palace section. I got the initial door unlocked, so I'm just at that like second part. I got that first door unlocked with all the going through all the saw blades and whatnot. So
it is
at that second part.
It is the most difficult parkour in the game that you need to do. There is a harder section, but it's completely optional. Like not even for the secret ending section.
There's the different paths and the secret stuff that you can do in there.
There's the Path of Pain. That is the hardest parkour, but the White Palace, other than the Path of Pain, is the hardest parkour section. So
so my expectation is to finish the game hopefully on Thursday, and then I don't know what we'll do on Thursday night after raid, because the raid's only 2 hours. So maybe we'll do more of my Wildcard Wednesday game. Maybe we'll start Golden Sun on Thursdays and play some Golden Sun on Thursdays. So lots of options there.
Retro Thursdays.
Yeah.
Throwback Thursday. There you go.
Throwback Thursdays. But yeah, this has been a really good. My OBS is like 0% rendering frames. I'm like, okay, I'm all right with that. Anything else, Bart? Anything else that you've been playing? Anything else that you plan to play?
Not right now. I'm not. There's nothing. I'm like. I need to go back to Baldur's Gate. And I need to go back to Armored Core 6. I haven't finished either of those games.
Okay.
And those take a lot of time to get through. And
we do need to go back to the Demon Souls 2 run and the Demon Souls 1 run. That's definitely something we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, we had Dark Souls 2. And then
Dark Souls, we
can clear Demon Souls one of these days, really quick and easy.
Yeah, I'm on the final boss, so I'm really at the end. And I think we're doing DLC for Dark Souls 1. So we're really close.
Yeah, I forgot we need to go kill. There's 3 bosses we got to do, and like I think the DLC has like 2 or 3 areas.
Yep.
So it'll be that'll be a couple days, probably not one day, but a couple days.
Yeah, we'll figure out a good time to do that. That's that'll be we'll be fine on that. So Anyways, all right. I think we've done just enough damage at 2 hours.
Yeah.
Minus our 10-minute preload. We're at 11 o'clock right now, so or 11 o'clock Eastern. Thank you guys so much for filling in today. It's been a little bit of a light audience, which is fine, but yeah, we'll be back here again next week. We've kind of settled on what we're doing from a podcast perspective. We're moving from Final Fantasy 14 specifically to open game news. So yeah, I mean, stay tuned, guys. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff and talking a lot of fun things coming up. So I will. I think that'll wrap up for today. Thank you guys. As always, Monday's our day we do not raid because it's 2 of us. So we are choosing not to raid tonight. But we will, I'll be back again tomorrow. I've got raid tomorrow for 3 hours. I think Bard generally streams for a little bit tomorrow as well.
Yep.
And
yeah, I gotta get. Oh no, I don't even need any P11. I might be doing some. I'll probably unlock some stuff. Maybe with our Sunday raid group, get them some P10 clears or any kind of reclears they need.
If and we're at a potential where you could be in my static on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That would be your stream days.
Waiting on you guys have another trial this Thursday, I believe Snail said.
We have another trial tomorrow. Yeah, we're gonna trial and do
tomorrow. Okay.
So yeah, we'll know tomorrow what that schedule looks like. But I will say, knowing your co-healer and knowing knowing a little bit of where we're at, I think that'll be a benefit to you.
Yeah, if there's no reclears like needed from the our raid team, then I'm probably gonna be hopping into some P12 tomorrow. In PF, and
for sure we'll definitely be there.
We'll see if I can get through in raid with PF. Probably it's going to be just para 3 prog.
And to be fair, I'll be back to my normal schedule. I think the only change to my schedule is Saturdays are going to be a variety day, either Final Fantasy or something else. The D&D sessions are kind of on hiatus for now, so
we can this Saturday we could do
some P12
or this Saturday or this Friday we could do the since we're not doing.
Oh, that's right. We're not doing D&D on this Friday, so we have an offline D&D campaign on Fridays. But it's moving to every other Friday, so we could do some P12 on Friday or Saturday for sure.
Yeah, we could do or we could. I was saying we could do your Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1 finish.
That's also true. We could also do an off game stream. We could get that done. So
yeah,
sweet. All right. Well, we will. Our respective channels will be available for you guys tomorrow on what we're doing. I'll be doing P12. I'm not sure what Bard is going to be running tomorrow. I think they're going to try to get you guys are going to try to get a group together for P11, right?
Okay, so I know Alex is getting home in a couple minutes. If he's too tired, then I'm not going to stream. I'm just going to play some Power World off stream. If he's like, hey, yeah, I really want to get some P11 in, then at least me and Alex, probably just me and Alex, are going to get some P11 in for him. And then Tuesday, tomorrow, any and all of the Sunday static that are like, hey, we need some re-clears for P9 or P10, then I'll probably be doing that tomorrow. And if all of them are like, I don't really want to raid today, then I'll be doing.
That's what it was like on Saturday. Was it Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday night. I got done with my FC events early, and I was like, "Hey, who wants to do 11?" And they were like, "I think we want to take a break from doing raiding for tonight." And I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Yeah, it was a little late though too, and like some of them are probably not home and stuff.
I think a lot of people were. We did a lot of. You guys did a lot of P10 last week, like a lot of P10.
Yeah. The main thing is to try to get clears. Those clears were not coming, and we saw in Rage so much. Oh my god! I
think we learned that the tanks and the heals have to be people we know, right? We have to have. I still haven't gotten
that Gunbreaker P10 clear, and I've seen in Rage on Gunbreaker so much. I just need it.
But anyways, all right, guys, we will talk to you guys next week, or we'll talk about whatever news pops up in the next week. And like I said, Gibbles will be live tomorrow, as well as I will be live tomorrow. I'll be doing some P12. Gibbles will be doing either some P11 or some potential P12 if he gets cleared early enough to do some P12 practice. So we will talk to you guys next week when we do some more video game news. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and have a great rest of your day and a great week. Until next week.
Bye.
Have a great night.